Well, it's after lunch and it's bright, so I think I'm going to get hot when I'm out here. Still refining the render on the southern workbench. I brought over this ugly hand basin earlier because it's one that we changed out from our washroom, bathroom area in the house, and I'm reluctant to throw things like this out. I figure that we can actually embed it in a concrete bench here and make it useful. So we'll see how that goes. Back in the house it was actually sitting on top of the bench, and I don't know, maybe some fancy resort might think it looked like a fashionable thing, but impractical and ugly as far as we were concerned. So if it's embedded in the bench here, it'll just be a basin within the bench rather than sitting on top of it. So we're getting our tiling done along here. So there'll be a pipe sitting within that, embedded in concrete. And I've chamfered all these edges here so that when the tile sits on top, it's a nice fine line along here. It's all good. Work continues on the south gutter and on the south side of the fence. And you can see the evaporative level, the rate of evaporation around here is pretty damned high. And we've got Rocky Fill almost to the end now. Not quite sure what's going to happen in the rubbish facility itself. And that is still trickling. Yeah, okay. Well, it's the after dinner walk around. They've got all the sand moved and there's still Rocky Fill. Here we are at the rice factory, so I'll have to yell to be heard over the machines perhaps, but there's the first of the windows with polycarbonate on it. So it's just not just plain clear stuff, but that's okay. All it's got to do is keep the rain out, let the light in. The big door has now got expanded steel. They'll get painted white. The back door for the southeast corner, that will get expanded steel in it as well. So that covers both the outside doors. Then this door and that door for the lock-up pages, they mightn't actually need anything, but we'll get harmonica wire on that, given that's going to be a lower cost. I guess looking at this, I'll do 3 more lower panels to get them nice and smooth like those. Eventually they'll do the top. Yeah, so let's see where we're at over here. We have most of our tiles done. The lower parts of the bench in front, all that will be tiled as well. You can see they've installed the taps. So it's nice and solid. The idea with that one is that they can pour water in there, which will run along, because there's got to be a sloping channel at the back. Run from this end down to the waste pipe in the tub, and yeah, so you can see they've got one of them set up here. The idea is there's 4 of those to put up along here, so that you can have 3 people working on a bench and 1 in the tub. That's the theory. More tiles over here, and we'll run out of grease, have we? Imagine that must be the case. Yep. Yep, the grease drum's just now got rubbish in it, so I'll have to give Dadang the other grease drum off the front porch, because I bought more in preparation for this. Still some more refinement to be done on the central support for that and the other supports. They've put fill in the bottom here to bring the level up a bit, because you don't want it to be too deep, otherwise the people around here couldn't reach the other side of a car without having a stool to stand on. So it's been brought up a little bit, so it's a more practical depth there for them. It does mean that if I ever get down there, I'll have to duck to go under a car. This is where the rendering is up to, on the south side of the fence. So I can look at the south side of the rain gutter. It looks like it's being dressed up nicely. So next will come the underside and finish off the columns. I swear that water's evaporated a lot. Well, at least Jabota and Dadang wear the helmets I bought from Melbourne. Can't persuade my other stepson to wear a helmet. We've actually got a scooter for him there on the front porch, which I said, yep, you're going to have to wear a helmet if you're going to ride that. Hasn't ridden it. Refuses to wear a helmet. So, okay, I can outstubborn you. He's not going to ride it so long as he's not going to wear a helmet. It's a fine sunny morning, so it's going to be another hot day. And we're going to get fully charged with the batteries. Let's have a look. We're finding the render surface has to come to an end eventually. I don't think they're going to keep going until it's like glass. So we have a team working on the south face of the south wall still, and the guy working up top on the south rain gutter. And another working on the columns. Well, the bottom of the pit is still dry, which is promising. Well, not dry, but there's no water around the bottom. And the bench is still being beautified. The path is getting rocks installed. There's some terribly grey looking clouds to the north and to the west, so I'm sure we're going to get more rain eventually here. It's just fine and sunny for now. But it's also getting warm, so I'm going to head back to the lounge room. It's probably about 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's after dinner or evening walkabout. Not a lot of obvious changes. A little bit of tiling work maybe. Well, as far as I can make out, all of the surfaces for the tops and sides and front of the bench have been finalised, but I'd say at this stage they've got the wall at the back of these 3 compartments is yet to be done. That's the only bit I can see that's left. Back's been done in there. See what else is going on. Nothing happening in here. From here it only looks like the underside of the rain gutter's unfinished. At the top of the fence. And they'll probably do more to make this smoother down the bottom, and they'll put this feature on here. So yeah, they'll find plenty of work to do yet. Even if I do think it isn't that necessary. I've probably made it to the end up here, don't know. And they've been pounding rocky fill in that next section. You can see that, and I've carried some in here and tossed some over the side by the look of it. Okay, so what I'm walking on is soft. Up here it's harder. So they pound this in. Looks like the rubbish facility is going to get a firmer base in it. There's a few rocks and some rocky fill and some waste concrete. And yes, they've made it to the very end up here. Whether they'll want to do the side of the canal like they've done around on the east side of the east wall, I don't know. Possibly to drag out the looking up the far end. Looks like that's the way they're going up there, so they'll probably continue that down here. A day's more work for them to earn some income. Looks like they're starting to build the structures on top of the tank. So that's the surrounds for the manhole entrances, and the sloping one over there is for the water input. My plan is to have a sloping mesh for the water to go in via, so that if the mesh gets clogged, the water just flows off downhill down the mesh and goes to the overflow outlet, which leads into the canal. And that downpipe at the back there, that will actually feed over to the front to feed into that same input point. This other structure here is just to basically put a lid on that hopefully will be mosquito proof, because I don't want the water tanks to be a mosquito breeding colony. It's morning, it's wet. It was bucketing down a while ago, so the drains are yet to catch up. Well, it's about an hour later and the rain hasn't stopped, and it doesn't look like stopping. Yeah, it's just continuing to bucket down. So those guys who are working undercover will be rather thankful for it today, I suspect. I'm not about to go out there. Some work does continue out in the rain. Well, it's after lunch. It's a bit dull. There's a net positive on the solar input into the batteries, but it's still catching up to where it was at 6 o'clock this morning. At 6 o'clock this morning, I had about 50% charge, and now at about 41. So it went backwards for a while. Being very, very dull. Yeah, the load sort of ramps up in the morning because there's things like dishwasher and the laundry washing machine and things like that get used, microwave. So yeah, the load will go up to sometimes up as much as 2.5 kilowatts. At the moment I think we've got about 1.2 kilowatts load and about 1.5 kilowatts solar input. So it's slowly charging battery. But as you can see from the spots of rain on the puddle, it's still raining but not very hard, so I'll go over and see what I can see closer up. These guys are dressing the underside of the southern rain gutter. It's an afternoon walk around. It's been a fine afternoon, and our charge is now back up to about 85%. Obviously they've done a fairly good clean up here. Let's go and see where it's all gone. Well, we have the southeast corner door, the cupboard door frame and one door there, and cupboard doors and frame over there, and a big sliding door here. The other three windows are no longer here, so I expect to go and find them installed. I suspect we've had some rocky fill pounded into the floor of the waste facility. Looking over here, the stream is flowing pretty strongly. And these were looking a bit dry yesterday or the day before. Not anymore. So you can see our path back to the area where we don't get bogged in the mud. So this will copper a layer of concrete at some stage. They've finished the south side of the south fence, but they haven't done this little bit at the end here yet. Not quite sure what the plan is for that. One of those many things that I find out afterward. They may do something to encase those bits of Rio that have been cut off and are exposed, I hope. Otherwise the rust will track into the wall. Fence, sorry. Looks like they're done to halfway along the underside of the south rain gutter. This will all get cleaned up, and sooner or later, when Asset comes to install my battery modules, which I'm still yet to hear a date on, he was going to bring a Genset representative to come and inspect the site it's going to be installed at, which will be right there, which will be cleaned up in the meantime. As can be seen from this side, there's a bit of a start on tiling the front bench here and the front of the fish processing area. Let's see what else has been done. Well, there we go, we've got it done the inside. There'll be a lower level yet. The fancy end bit done. They need to have this come across either rounded or a bit more straight across, because as it stands there at the moment, that will be a hard corner to clean in, which I've pointed out a couple of times. Okay, we're getting there. I don't know what's happened with those other three windows that were down at the rice factory, unless they took them inside, because I expected to come down here and find them installed. And I don't see them sitting around outside anywhere. What's going on there? Dadang and Ezra went and collected a whole lot of tiles today. I think there's probably more interesting weather on the way. It's looking a bit dark over there towards the west, and interesting towards the north-northwest. That's a few volcanoes up that way that sort of they tend to have their tops in the clouds. But yeah, I'm forecasting it's probably going to rain again overnight. That won't be a surprise. Well, it's morning, and I see one of the windows for the back over there. The three back windows are supposed to have polycarbonate on them to keep the rain out. That one doesn't appear to. So I did see one previously that did have polycarbonate, which I approve. Weather is looking a bit iffy, of course. I was contacted last night to say that the batteries for the off-grid system, the extra batteries will be here last night, and Asset's going to come to install them this morning. Haven't heard any more since then. But let's go and have a closer look, see what's going on. Okay, it looks like we're gearing up here. The angle guy, the sparks being where they are. Okay, what they've done is they've drilled some holes into the wall, and they're now cutting off the Rio. They've tapped into those holes, and then they'll pick the windows up and they'll weld them to those metal bits. And from the fact that they've got holes drilled around the edge here, it indicates to me that they've taken the polycarbonate off so it doesn't get damaged during the welding process, which makes good sense. So we'll have windows today. The tank's joke. Yeah, it's a bit loud in here. That tank has come that much closer, so that's going to go above the back door. A handy workbench, handy thing to stand on, just the right height. So that was good. There he is with his little welder. This is good. That's something you probably wouldn't have seen much of in Australia, is using sandpaper on concrete. Okay. Filing continues out here. And preparation work. It's all good. Looks like, to me, like they're preparing another tub to mix concrete into. Probably for this. You know, do the test fit. The way this rendering refinement is going with this fence, you kind of wonder whether it'll still be going on next year. I almost missed my after lunch walk around. I was distracted by the fact that the guys had turned up to install the 4 extra batteries in my off-grid system. Presumably they built that box so that they could dump a batch of mix in it from the machine, which was made earlier, and that's gone into making a floor for the waste facility, and the path is being concreted. Working their way backward from the waste facility. That got its floor concreted first, and now they're working their way back this way. So Dadang's just putting some formwork up on the side of the path to constrain the concrete, which will lay on top. This guy is very self-conscious. So we're going to have basically a major toll road. With a bit more of the southern rain gutter to do. Work on the fish bench. Tiling will continue for quite some time. And the guys are working hard on installing those bottom 4 battery modules. So apparently the power to the house when this is off. So I can't use my computer. Shut down. Yeah, so they're attaching big fat wires to big positive and negative bus bars in that box to the right there. And those cables will then connect to these bottom 4 modules. See you after dinner walkabout. And more work on rendering. Will it ever end? The tiling is coming along nicely here. It's nice how they cut that into the column. Yeah, good. Yeah, so a seat along the top there for people. The side, we have the corner where they've stopped it being up into there, so it's nice and easy to clean out. I'll see how that goes from here. Looks like they have a drain to put in, which is not a plug type drain, it's more of a shower drain. Interesting. Okay. Guess that can be blocked off, turned into a proper plugged drain by putting a little bit of plastic over the top. We've got our 3 window grills in the south side. They don't have their polycarbonate on them yet, and that would be because they're probably trying to protect that from the render that's likely to fall down. That's my theory, I'll stick to it. I think they've probably completed the rendering underneath the benches now. Looks like it's completed. So, yeah. Looking good. Have we done anything in the bathroom yet? I'm betting the answer is no, since that's been the answer so far. And I was correct. Okay. Well, the rendering underneath hasn't quite made it to the end here yet. That's not far off. I'd give that another day to be complete. The generator guy was here with ASEP today, so I've got the quote and I've paid a big slab of that. So a couple of months we'll have a genset sitting there. Well, we didn't quite make it to the end here today, but I would reasonably forecast that tomorrow they'll get that completed. My earth line's back up, and we have a tank up there too now. Interesting to see how the plumbing goes. ASEP had his drone here again today and got that up. So he said he'd send me the video. We'll see whether I receive that in time to be included in my next upload.